Hello guys, it's me. I'm gonna just, one sec. Gotta get the perfect lighting for this review. This is an important review. Very important review. Deafheaven, man. Ordinary Corrupt Human Love. I was really excited to hear this one because the lead single for this thing, Honeycomb, knocked me flat, floored me completely. It was really exciting to hear a song from these guys that was just so unbelievably dynamic and nuanced and brilliantly executed. It had such an amazing, just bright, sunny feel of just hope and redemption, but it also had a really harrowing undertone to it in some of its various progressions. There were so many amazing instrumental flourishes on the song too that just leave me completely impressed and floored on every listen. There's so much to pick apart about the track. It's like 11 minutes long. It's such a sprawling song. It just had my mouth completely watering for their new album, which is out now on streaming services and everything. I've been listening to it through the NPR stream that's been available for about a week or so now. I've just been wearing that out, and yeah, this album's good. This album's really good. Really good. Okay, so track 1, You Without End. Let me know right out of the gate that I'm in for something special, because this track showed, not only was it just another gorgeous, beautiful song from Deafheaven, but it also showed some progression, some evolution for the band with the introduction of grand piano on this song, and some spoken word too, which is pretty interesting. I'm not really typically used to hearing that from them, so that was pretty nice. The grand piano just elevated the song to such a brilliant height, in my opinion. It gave it this added sense of just raw, vulnerable, evocative power that I thought fucking worked amazing. The way it paired up brilliantly with their just bustling percussion, which is as crisp and as destructive as ever, especially on songs like Glint, for example, which I think is the most aggressive song on this album. Just absolutely blistering track right there. But yeah, You Without End, man. I love the way this song builds. The crescendos all over this thing are incredible. I love how well paced the song is too. Nothing ever feels like it's meandering or taking too long, which is a problem you can pretty easily succumb to when you have tracks of this length. 4 of the songs on this album are 10 plus minutes long. Then you have this first track, which is like 7 minutes. It's a 61-minute long album in total, but I don't really think, honestly, across the entire runtime, a second of it was wasted. I think the pace and flow of this album is pretty much flawless. The transitions between the songs is, of course, immaculate, especially between the first 2 tracks. I love that like reverse, just winding sort of like guitar. I think it's a guitar, I'm not 100% sure, but that reversed sound effect or whatever it is that leads into the song Honeycomb just gives me chills every time. But I love the way Glint starts as well, another really chilling intro, which again includes reversed guitar. It just sends chills down my spine. It's such a harrowing way to kick off the song. I think Canary Yellow, however, does start off on a much more bright and happy tone, which then divulges later on into a much more nightmarish track. There is this amazingly just haunting refrain later on at the end of the song, this mantra of like, on and on, we are choking on this everlasting handsome night. And I think that is just sort of a morbid way to depict how we often look at death, I think. That seems to be the kind of theme of that song, is just the idea of your legacy and where you go after you die and will people remember you. And this mantra at the end really fucking chilled me to my core. It was just so fucking haunting to think about. Like the idea that we always just choke on this everlasting slumber that is also in a way appealing because it's just a release from everything. Just something you can't escape. And just the way it was sung and performed was really, really fucking powerful to me. It was just sort of chanted in this kind of monotone way. Had this really just lumbering, eerie tone to it that I just could not escape. Just every time I hear the song, the ending of it just stirs me. It's a really powerful ending sequence. And this song, I love how it's kind of preceded as well by this fucking fantastic guitar solo too. And the way it crashes in with that kind of like drop at the beginning, it just kind of starts off sounding really opulent and celestial and gorgeous. Then it just kind of hammers down with George Clark's amazing voice, which is his performance front to back on this album is really stunning. It's subdued when it needs to be, especially on the final track, Worthless Animal, which didn't really strike me on the first listen, but on subsequent listens, I've grown to think that this final track on this album is a really appropriate finish. I love how George Clark's voice is not quite as throttling as it usually is, because what I'm kind of getting from what he's saying on this track lyrically, he seems to be again tackling the idea of being remembered after death, and he seems to depict at the end a situation where someone is being murdered, or a dog is being murdered, because like he uses the term stalking dog. I'm not sure if it's literally a dog, you know, or like it's just some term to like belittle someone, like you're a dog, like a worthless animal, kind of like the title of the song. I'm typically not the best when it comes to deciphering lyrics, but this is just what I have taken from them. What I'm getting from this track is it is sort of detailing a very morbidly a really gritty murder, saying like burying the blade into their ribs, like pinning them down by their legs, and then after he says this really fucking like gruesome description of a death, of a murder. He says like, now they'll be remembered because that they've died, and that sort of strikes me as sort of like the title of the album, Ordinary Corrupt Human Love. Like, it's ordinary for people to mourn the loss of someone dying, but he seems to be kind of suggesting that that's in a way corrupt because no one was there to help him when he was alive. And now that he's dead, now they'll remember him and now they'll mourn him. And I think maybe he's sort of battling that idea, and it leaves off the album on a really chilling note because the track just kind of fades out, which at first I thought was just a bit of a cop-out, but given the lyrical idea, the way it kind of fades out completely, like it's like the song is just being like, it's just like a disintegrating, it's like it's just being taken from you. And then you're just left with this sound of what sounds like a wind just kind of howling. Like you kind of transition from the song to just like the eerie stillness of just like nature, and it just kind of leaves me feeling really hollow, but in a powerful way. I thought it left a strong tone. I actually think this ending was really appropriate. And instrumentally, it's nowhere near as explosive as songs like Glint or Canary Yellow. It's again, it's quite subdued by comparison. But I still think it's paced really nicely. There's a great bass line that comes in around halfway through. I think generally the song is really fulfilling overall. And I think it finds actually a lot of power in its more simplistic approach to Deafheaven's sound when you have songs like Canary Yellow and Glint, which are just packed to the brim with details and dynamic changes and chord progressions and instrumental flourishes. I think a song like Worthless Animal was actually quite a tasteful way to finish off the album. And then you have the more transitional cuts like Near and Night People, the latter of which actually features Chelsea Wolfe on some vocals, and her haunting voice just fucking works brilliantly alongside Deafheaven's instrumental, which by the way on this track features these amazing piano chords. Piano was again included on this track too, and I think it works brilliantly. It gives the song an identity that no other track on this album has, no other track in Deafheaven's entire catalogue has, and that's the thing. I love how this album manages to retain everything that has made Deafheaven appealing before, but it also is completely its own beast. Like, I don't think this is just them retreading the same, ideas. I think the compositions here are so fucking powerful, perfectly paced and dynamic, and they have uses of vocals and piano that I don't think I've ever heard from them before. I think this definitely has its own distinct identity amongst their catalog. It's not quite as brooding and moody as their last album, New Bermuda, not quite as shoegazy as Sunbather, although the song Near is straight up shoegaze to a T. I was hearing Slow Dive, Ride, this track Near, very shoegaze, but yeah, I do think Ordinary Corrupt Human Love stands pretty comfortably on its own. And I gotta talk about Near again. This track is honestly one of the most gorgeous things I've heard all fucking year. This track is beautiful. I love the lyrical idea too. It's very simple, but the performance completely sells it. It's again very subdued, very stripped back, and incredibly brittle and raw. The mixing is perfect too. It's not too oppressive in the mix. It's just kind of comfortably hanging alongside the very airy, reverby, shoegaze-laced instrumental, and the lyrical idea itself being the idea of just desperately longing for comfort in another person. There's a line where it's like, can I rest for a while? I just wish that you were near. Like, struggling to be at ease with the knowledge that this person isn't there or near or like available to, like, and the way it's performed, it is harrowing as fuck, and it really fucking chilled me. I thought this track was absolutely stunning. There's not really a moment on this thing that doesn't floor me, really. This thing was amazing. I loved this album immensely. In fact, I think it's a 10 out of 10. I really don't have any problems with this album at all. I can't pinpoint anything that bothers me enough to where it genuinely hinders my experience. It's a fucking stunning album. I recommend it to everyone. It was fucking so evocative, like, I really can't describe it. Like, and the immense highs on this thing, the ecstatic highs on this album bring me such fucking joy. It's insane. I honestly, this is probably one of my favorite albums ever. I love this thing. Thank you for watching. Please listen to this album. It's so brilliant. Yeah. Cool. We're done. I think that's everything I have to say. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.